Today it's time for a best of 3 series between two of the very best players in StarCraft 2. Spawning right here in the upper left, we have the highest ranked Protoss player on the planet. He goes by the name of herO, one of the most entertaining players to watch, just because you never quite know what flavor of herO we're going to get. Sometimes he gets very cheesy, other days he decides to play the macro games very beautifully too. His opponent, likewise, has been playing some spicy StarCraft over the last few weeks in particular. We're looking at Ragnarok's main base, otherwise known as SHIN. It looks to me that Ragnarok has indeed decided to take his opponent's natural as his very first base. Yep, we are opening up with a proxy hatch. He's faking going for an expo over here. herO thinks that he is now successfully blocking his opponent's expansion, whereas in reality it is Ragnarok blocking herO's expansion. And that's exactly what this is. It is purposefully misplaced just to be a little bit annoying. We leave a potential bit of extra space as well for, say, spine crawlers, if you want to get, you know, really cheesy. So how in the world do you respond to this? I find it actually quite ballsy here for Ragnarok to do this against herO of all Protoss players. Most of the Protoss players are quite rigid in their ways, right? Like, they like to approach SC2, just like most of the StarCraft pros out there. They like to approach the game like a spreadsheet. But herO is one of the most flexible pros out there. He's got to go for the second gateway here. Cybercore in a very ugly and exposed position. Probably irrelevant, but this is already very different than what we normally see. Looks like the Protoss decided to now go into the main base here for just a moment, and that's going to give the drone that was hiding over at the third base a chance to now build up the natural too. So we went natural into spawning pool into natural on the other side of the map. Okay. Now, do you cancel here, Rag? What exactly is the approach going to be? We have a couple of choices. We can make Zerglings here. We can even make a queen. If you can put down a creep tumor and prevent this base from ever really going, I mean, that would be extremely nice. Obviously, herO would need to get some form of detection, but he would have to have either like a Stargate or a robo facility done for that sort of thing. I think Ragnarok is just saving up larva for now. We'll probably make a bunch of these into Zerglings. He's just, excuse me. He's just gonna make 2 for now. Maybe it's 2 for now, and then after the hatchery dies, I mean, these larvae are gonna live for a while. You can still choose to make, yeah, there we go, another batch of 6 Zerglings in total. All right, let's see. A couple of Zerglings did chase away the scouting probe as well. We did indeed now also produce 6 links. These are, do we just cancel them actually? We could just cancel them and just buy, yeah, we just buy a bit of time. It's actually kind of clever. Ooh, I've never really seen anybody do that before. But he wanted to slow down the advancement here of the Adepts. So now we have 2 Zealots into 2 Adepts and then into 2 more. Normally those 2 Adepts will immediately go on the offensive. Instead now herO forced to wait for a little bit because he thought that those Zerglings were going to spawn. They would have just been insta-killed because Zergling speed is not yet finished. I guess Ragnarok has successfully delayed the game, but ultimately herO is going to be able to expand. And how in the world is Rag going to be able to defend against all of this? He needs to make a lot of units here. Drones will have to run into the main base for sure. Zerglings do get the wraparound immediately on at least the Zealots. That's kind of sweet. Adepts, do they go into the main? They do indeed go into the main. Drones with a little bit of drone drilling. They successfully separate one of the Adepts there for just a moment. Queen's desperately running around. Adepts will shade down to the low ground. They actually decide to cancel. That's a little bit surprising. I think he probably assumed that a big batch of links was going to be waiting on the low ground. Not actually the case. He could have snuck away. Oracle right now joining in as well, by the way. That was made out of the Stargate that we saw going up a little bit ago. 5 confirmed kills on that bad boy already. And suddenly, the aggressive early game here for Ragnarok is not looking that smooth anymore. You see another worker going down? Maybe one more? Oh, 1 final kill. If you make a spore crawler or 2, yeah, he does decide to build one. That's another set of workers falling, effectively, just because oracles are out. Second one is going to be available as well momentarily. I don't know if I really like this position for Ragnarok very much anymore. He's desperately powering out as many drones as he possibly can. So 8 workers have indeed fallen so far on the side of the Zerg player, and that is significant. Looks like the Oracle, by the way, did find a path through the main base of the Zerg player, so he's gonna be able to join up with its friend, and maybe they can live to harass another day. A beautiful goal in life. Ooh, resonating glaives on the back of this right now. Okay. This particular series, by the way, you may have already noticed, we don't have any, like, worker kill pop-ups on the right side of the screen. We don't have any little overlays on top of the Twilight Council in this instance to show that indeed we have an ability researching. It's because this is a set of games from the GSL qualifiers. So these games, I think, are uncasted. And the players very likely hosted their own lobbies. And in order to actually get all of those extra overlay bits, you have to add it to the pre-game lobby. So I can't add it to the game right now. That's a little bit of a shame, but on the flip side, these may actually be games that, well, otherwise nobody would have ever seen, right? There's a good chance that these are games that nobody ever actually would have checked out. All right, we're gonna go into a Baneling nest now. Now, what's a little funky here in this particular match is that 4 adepts have died, and now we go into the Resonating Glaives upgrade. Ooh. You wouldn't really expect that from a Protoss here as the Zerg, right? Like, do you really assume you're gonna go for an adept all-in after you just lost a bunch of adepts? Like, if you're going to go for a power spike on that unit, wouldn't you be better off saving them for a little while? This is a small mind game that Protoss players at this level do like to go for. Normally, we would see Zerg players go for a Roach Warren, which is way better, well, against at least this type of build. Banelings are not yet out, and this is Resonating Glaives done. That means straight up attack speed right now for those adepts. I love the Stasis Ward. That is going to indeed buy a bunch of time. It's also going to allow those adepts right now to escape, as they do decide to now shade at least some of them into the main base. Zerglings are popping out, but this is a disaster for Ragnarok, who started off very aggressively, but is herO who dominates game number 1. Game number 2, we find ourselves on Tourmaline. Ragnarok was about 1 mineral away from being able to plant his natural. And upon herO blocking it, rather than moving on over to the 3rd, he decides to now go into a spawning pool. Okay. So in the previous expansion, or in the previous game rather, neither player really got to take their expansion at a reasonable time. Right now it's herO who has decided that no, you will not, Rag. It's not going to happen. You may change your username. My god, look at the drone squad. They got the job done. But honestly, if he wouldn't have, it would actually have been very significant. Like 3 workers not mining for a reasonable amount of time actually does add up. We did get a little bit of bullying done though, but you know what? herO decided to return the favor by letting that pylon finish. This is going to really slow down the game quite a bit for herO though, because obviously, yeah, you have successfully delayed your opponent's natural expansion, but congratulations, you've also delayed your own. He would have really liked to just build this immediately. The normal time is 20 Cybercore and then 20 Supply Nexus as well. herO now building it at 19 because he obviously lost a single worker, but this Nexus does feel, well, about 100 minerals slower than what we normally see, right? So, right from the get-go, all of the timings that we know have been thrown out of the window. This now means here for Ragnarok, for example, that oracles will very likely be built, but they won't be arriving on his side of the map pre-4 minutes. Usually about the 4-minute mark is when the first oracle arrives on the side of the Zerg. Does that mean you delay your Spore Crawler? Does that mean that you decide to just make the assumption here that the opponents may not necessarily be going for oracles at all? There's a lot of little questions that can immediately go through your mind. StarCraft 2 at this level is a game of very small margins, and it will be something that Ragnarok is going to be considering, especially at this point in time. I think it's a little bit more obvious here for herO how he needs to proceed, mostly because he is going to be the aggressor, at least for the time being in a normal game. Metabolic Boost starts up. First Adept indeed is going to be patrolling back and forth. Natural Expo here was produced before the Adept can really be an absolute nuisance in that department too. He does force now a single extractor to be started up as the shade completes towards the natural. And this Adept now is mostly just set up to be able to snatch any kills for drones that want to transfer from the 3rd or from the main towards the other base. Alright. Again, I don't mind this start here for herO at all though. I actually think as Ragnarok, inviting herO to the clown show is just dangerous, you know? Like, this man grew up in the circus. If you want to learn how to juggle, maybe don't do it against herO, you know? Maybe against someone like Classic, it would be a bit safer. Maybe somebody like MaxSpecs, you might be able to throw them off their game. But herO has been playing this very spicy type of early game for quite literally a decade. How many games have I seen of herO going up against Dark, where it is just an absolute clown fiesta, where both players are just trying their best to outsmart the opponent? So for Ragnarok to be playing with fire here, it's just so risky. And I think herO is navigating it very well. Yep. Oracle number 1 here is going to be available soon. Next is now indeed delayed by about 20 seconds already. It does mean, of course, that we have committed to some additional unit production. No Spore Crawler indeed at the 3rd. Stasis Ward goes up. That's a little bit spicy. It's going to force the retargeting right there from those queens. A couple drones have died. Nice little bit of movement yet again on the Adept. He does indeed move into a 1 additional kill, and this one with 7 confirmed. Okay, ultimately does end up falling. One more drone? No, not quite. The Adept was just about ready to fire. Oracle number 2 right now shows up. Okay. Third Nexus, by the way, was delayed for longer than it needed to. Not just because of the early game, but also because of herO being very busy microing his units. So there is probably about a good half-minute of delay or so on that 3rd, which will allow Ragnarok to potentially catch up at least a little bit. He's been a bit sharper on his own personal spending here. Twilight Council together with a Forge on the back of all of this. So we have triple Oracle, and herO is trying to now guide this game into a more common direction, right? A situation that we see very frequently. No Queen joining in from the high ground. This Queen should have been working away on the low HP Oracle. It now costs an additional worker kill at least. Stasis Ward here denies a bit of gas mining too. Okay, now the norm, would indeed be to go into Blink. It is indeed Blink now researching in the Twilight Council together with the +1 attack. But again, this is herO we're talking about. You never really know. He could be going into Glaive to Depths once more. He could be going into charge slots. He could be going into Archon drops. He could be going into even a Dark Templar follow-up. For Ragnarok, well, the main is dark and full of Protoss. He has no idea what he's playing against. He's gonna make the assumption it's a Twilight Council, but that really doesn't tell you all too much. Interestingly enough, in this instance, he is going Roach-Warren. Skipping out on the Baneling Nest, going Roach-Warren instead. He does need a good number of Zerglings to be able to deal with, like, the very first batch. Oh, herO. Yeah, you poked the bear, Ragnarok. Look, I wanna... I've seen herO play a lot of clumsy games, right? But you really forced him to tunnel visioning into as good as he possibly can play Protoss. It's risky. And right now, herO is running away with this game too, man. Just like the previous one. He may not be in a game-winning spot, but this is a very comfortable position for Protoss compared to where the Zerg is currently playing from. Now, Ragnarok is adding on a 4th hatch. Fair enough. We have the +1 melee coming up. Super late, by the way. Normal timing of that is like several minutes earlier than what we see right here. Zergling Scout did confirm the 3rd. We have a double expo in the meantime for Ragnarok. Stalkers blinking forward really aggressively. Queens overextending? Yeah, there's no Stasis Ward set up yet. Okay. May allow the Queens to escape, but it's risky. Zerglings try their absolute best. Does he know about the 3rd? He does know about the 3rd Stasis Ward. Nicely done right there by Ragnarok, setting all of this off. But really, until these upgrades are done, Protoss is going to have the upper hand. Couple of Adepts as well, Shade. 3 of them to the right side of the map. herO doesn't yet know about the base at the 6 o'clock, but you can tell that he is zeroing in on it. He at the very least has an assumption that it may very well be a double expo. One of those bases can be treated like a macro hatch, but maybe it will actually magically turn into the new expansion as indeed... That was a perfect engagement there for herO yet again. He kills the hatch, slithers away with the units, and now even snipes a couple drones as well to boot over at the 3rd base of the Zerg. This is the Protoss dream. It really doesn't get much better than this. It's aggressive, it's spicy. There's a little bit of risk-taking, but it's all so freaking smooth. herO now heading on over towards a 4th Nexus as well. We have a Fleet Beacon. Okay. A Fleet Beacon together with Storm. I actually did not quite expect a Fleet Beacon. But I mean, in a game like this, when you know you are at an advantage, the Mothership alone really does seal the deal. If you can get a Mama ship out, and it's expensive, takes a long time to produce, 8 supply, it is... Yeah, I don't really know what you can do as Ragnarok. Like, Ragnarok needs to have a Spire against that sort of thing, right? Like, you can't really go for any real Hydra follow-ups. It just doesn't really work. He's probably gonna try, though, and put down a Hydra Den in a moment, and maybe go into a Lurker Den. Okay, this is nice. Cleaning up the Zealots is big, but this is a full-on distraction, as the Stalkers have moved to the left side of the map once more. Stasis wards being set up over here, too. This time around, we're not just gonna settle for the hatch, but also a couple of those OVs. Yeah, and I think we start up Mama. There we go. Mama in the main. That new portrait, by the way, that is spinning around on the Nexus, this is the latest one added to StarCraft 2. It is a picture of herO wearing a mothership like a necklace. So... I guess we're gonna try and see if we can actually pull that off in the game. Honestly, though, I don't even know if herO really needs it. Like, at this point, he's just looking so bloody dominant. Like, he is not gonna slow down. Normally, when Protoss try to sneak out a mothership, they slow the game down, right? Like, it's a very expensive unit, takes a long time to produce. But herO is just pushing for the win right here, right now. And honestly, Ragnarok is in trouble. The Storms are really good. Additional Zealots do show up. Good blink right there from Protoss yet again. That's a lot of workers dying here too, man. And yeah, the High Templar right now, they see blood. And while ultimately a couple of the Banelings do connect with the High Templar, it is herO who dominates the first series of the day. More StarCraft? Yeah, let's do some more Protoss versus Zerg. Another qualification match for the GSL. Another Protoss versus Zerg, but this time around it's Trigger taking on a Rogue. Man, if Trigger can even play remotely as cleanly as herO just did, I've got a feeling that it's going to be nearly impossible for Rogue, but... just play like herO is a good bit of advice to give, but maybe a little bit more difficult to execute. So the GSL, in case you're unfamiliar, it is one of the most prestigious tournaments in StarCraft 2. It's been running for like a decade and a half plus. Actually, I think it's already over 16 years right now, because I believe they started in like early 2010. It's been a little while. So it's the type of tournament that especially the Korean players really do want to qualify for. Now, Trigger has been spending a lot of time over in Korea. He's not Korean himself, but he is certainly very familiar with the Korean playstyle right now. I believe he's actually... got his own place in South Korea and all the rest of it, so he has been staying there for a very extended period of time already. That being said, Rogue is a tricky opponent to go up against. Before these games really start, though, I just want to go back to that previous best of 3 for just a moment, because I poke fun at herO's decision-making in games all the time, right? Like, how many games have we seen where herO really is just kind of clowning and it looks very clumsy? If you contrast that to what we saw him do just now, I think it's very clear that what we see in the average herO series in the smaller online cups, as by the way, we have another Proxy hatch, I think it's a lot of the time herO not really taking the game super seriously. Apparently we're just not allowed to expand today. It's a hatchery cancel into an evolution chamber block as well. You gotta try and take your opponent's natural, apparently, now. That's the meta. Don't let the Protoss player expand. Well, they're always going to expand eventually. I don't think you can truly really prevent it, but you wanted to actually do a follow-up hatch block there too, man. Disgusting. Anyhow, just a final point on that previous series. I think whenever we look at those quote-unquote average herO series that we see in the smaller online cups where there's like 50 bucks on the line or 200 bucks on the line, I think we gotta take those games with a grain of salt. That is not herO playing at his 100% best form. That previous game, that was herO tryharding, and it was very clear that it was clean, it was precise, very few mistakes made. I think, really, when we're watching him play in those smaller cups, he's just having a bit of, I don't know, maybe a bit of a chat on Discord, or he's just, you know, taking the game as a video game, right? He's trying to have some fun. That previous game was herO meaning business. Anyhow, both of these players certainly will mean business as well. It's going to be an Oracle start yet again. Actually, maybe it's smart, right? Like, we purposely see some of the top-tier competitors, like, for example, herO, not really sign up for any of the small tournaments because he doesn't really want to give away any of his strats. Maybe herO has been carefully crafting this image of being a bit of a jokester, right? Being a very stealthy assassin in some instances, but not necessarily super clean. But he is capable of doing it too, man. He is capable of playing clean games, and well, maybe the opponents will just underestimate you a little bit. Anyhow, Oracle's coming up, so that means that Spore Crawlers are indeed a necessity. rogue actually sending the queens on over towards the main base. That's a cheeky little bit of movement there on that Oracle. It ran past one of these overlords. So, yeah, rerouting that was indeed the right call. We should see a third base, though, going up here, and this is now delayed. Normal timing on this third base is 350. Right now, this is problematic here for Trigger. Right from the get-go, man, this is actually a bit of a disaster. It's gonna not just deal damage over here, it is also going to force those oracles right now to come back home. So all the harassment has been, well, taken care of. And we even see 2 probes. Yeah, 2 probes going down in total. Oracles, of course, will clean this up. Third base will stay alive. But all of this is not what you want as a Protoss at all. Okay, now, it's not a disaster by any means. But the wind has been taken out of the sails just a moment, right? Like, you do have to be very careful here as Protoss that you do not lose grip on this game. Because you technically have full map control. So we have another cheeky little Zergling slipping by the defenses. Technically you have full map control, but somehow Zerg is still able to go around and be a nuisance. Trying his best. Tried his best, but not quite getting an additional kill. Twilight Council here should be a +1 together with Blink. Yep. Makes a lot of sense, but again, it's pretty slow. Zerglings are still roaming the map. rogue is also adding on a lot of workers right now, though, so he's been purposefully... Oh, man, again, Zerglings get into the base. Again, a bunch of probes die. This is a train wreck right now. It's so interesting, like, contrasting this to that previous set of games. It is so interesting to see. Trigger will see that the structure over there got cancelled and replaced by a Hydralisk then, so at least he will have some intel. Also, it's a lot of Zerglings for only 5 probes, so maybe it's not really that bad of a situation here for the Protoss player, but it does feel like you just don't really have anything going for yourself. Obviously, though, Zerg is not committing to super heavy droning early on. Because if you're making that many Zerglings, you have to choose where your larva and minerals go, so you can't really do both. It does effectively also slow down the Zerg eco quite a bit. But rogue is not allowing Trigger a whole lot of wiggle room here. Extra gateways will be done momentarily. 2 hatcheries also building here for the Zerg. We have one over at the 3 o'clock and then also one all the way at the bottom. It's going to be Hydra Ling for now. Just pure Hydra Ling. Roach Warren has been skipped. Baneling Nest has been skipped as well. Normally, I would be criticizing that. But I think in this instance, it makes a lot of sense. Like, what in the world is Trigger going to do? Go for a Glaive to Depth all-in? Maybe. Probably not, though, considering how the game has started off. rogue is... Man, he's very sharp. rogue and SHIN are very similar in a lot of ways, and maybe lately SHIN has been maybe a bit more, I mean, more successful, potentially. I mean, maybe it's similar to rogue, but rogue really still has that killer instinct. Of course, a previous world champion of StarCraft 2, winning basically everything. I think rogue is oftentimes kind of forgotten about in a way, because, yeah, herO is kind of... After rogue basically won everything, then herO decided to go and win everything, and it's kind of Rogue never really stopped competing. He just had to go and do his mandatory military service and all the rest of it, but he is still part of the exclusive $1 million plus club that only 4 SC2 players have ever reached. He's made more than $1 million in tournament earnings. So he's done very well for himself. And while it's taken him some time to get back up to his previous level, I feel like lately he's just been playing some stellar StarCraft, and he's got this killer instinct. He's not afraid to execute on whatever he wants to do. He's very sharp. I think cutting those corners can sometimes be a little bit risky, but he has a very good grasp on how the game is going. Now, obviously, this game is not in the bag yet, but lurkers are already coming out. Hive is going to be done very soon. Trigger is happy that he can only barely secure a 4th Nexus. We've got Storm right now done, so that is going to keep him safe. Maybe he will, be reasonably happy about it, but he doesn't yet know the storm that is headed his way. And I'm afraid that Storm is not going to be enough. When lurkers come out... Oh, this is also really nice, man. When lurkers come out, you need to have just a whole lot of units. Like, soon, StarCraft 2 is going to turn into a numbers game. Trigger can go for a move out and maybe seed his army coming in. That's nice. Zergling run by moving in, though, to the left side. Static defense not yet fully done. It's going to force a warp in here, too. And it's actually just going to force now this move out that Trigger was planning on doing into a bit of a stroll around the bases. He just moved from the 3rd to the 4th base. Now Zerglings are getting into the base yet again. A little bit of a zealot run by, but you know what? Charge isn't even done yet. Fleet beacon coming up. Seismic spines will be finished here soon. I'm expecting to see Rogue move out. Either when Seismic Spines is done, or when he finishes up the burrow improvement as well for the lurkers. Alternative choice is to just not move out. Let the Protoss player come to you. But I don't think... I don't know. That doesn't really seem like something Rogue will do. Rogue will very likely go for a bit of an attack here momentarily. So this game, by the way, started off with a proxy hatch into a proxy evo chamber, right? It may feel like you've got something cheesy going on as the Zerg, but really, it was a macro build all along. Now, the lurker attack is on a bit of a timer, though. Mama is gonna be out in a moment. Tempest production has kicked in. If Trigger is given enough time, he is still fully in this game. Like, he's now headed in the direction of Skytoss with Storm. We're still a moment away, though, from that really rolling forward properly, but yeah. I think, actually, this is maybe... I mean, it's more passive than I would have played it if I was in Rogue shoes, but that's maybe mostly because I have not been able to win a game against Skytoss for, like, the last 5 years. So, you know, this may be a personal issue mostly. Lurkers are indeed moving through, but Tempest #1 is out, and this is a nice engagement right here for Trigger. Nidus Worm, in the meantime, in the back, will indeed get the Knight. I mean, a couple Zerglings are popping out. Maybe a secondary Nidus Worm can be useful, but that also is going to get the Knight. And you know what? This can very quickly flip in favor of Protoss now. Trigger has decided to take some chances. He decided to play a bit of a risky follow-up, but it seems to be working out in his favor now. Still, though, there are a lot of lurkers over here. We do need detection. Couple lurkers as well, awkwardly rallied around the site. Those will be free pickings for the Immortals as soon as they decide to retarget it. There we go. In the meantime, we have a Hydra squad over here too, but Mama is out, and Mama herself has decided to take matters into her own hands. This is Rogue now ready to go for a push, but he knows that he needs a Spire if this game goes on a lot longer. Nexus in the bottom left-hand corner, currently unscouted. Rogue trying to move through. How many Storms do we still have available? I think maybe just one more? No, I don't think not even. Not quite enough energy. Energy recharge is currently on cooldown as well. Cloaking field is nice, but there's plenty of Overseers available. Zealot run by in the meantime on the right side of the map. Excellent work right here by Trigger. This game kind of felt like it was Rogue from start to finish. He needs to keep this base alive, though. I don't know if he's going to be able to. That means that suddenly that base in the bottom left-hand corner is so important, but it's also so risky. It's so easy for Zerg to kill it. Lucky here for Trigger, there's a little bit of a line of sight blocker, meaning that the creep can't be sent through it. a Zergling has to go, or like an Overlord has to get into position to actually provide vision for the creep to be extended in that direction. Careful here, Trigger. We do not want to be losing any of these units to Hydras. Tempest have way more range. And I think Rogue is still salvaging this. We probably want to see a recall with the probes towards that base in the bottom left to continue mining. I understand why Trigger is not doing it, but I think he really doesn't have a choice. Still though, I mean, oh, really? We have no detection! We have no detection! Oh, what? Oh no, he just activated the pulsar beam rather than the revelation ability on the Oracle. That was messy. Rogue got a whole lot of additional damage done. Trigger move commanding into a lot of lurkers that he knew were there. Admittedly though, there's a lot of fires currently that need to be put out. And you know what? Those lurkers have accidentally now, when they were marching back home, stumbled upon the base in the bottom left. The recall to this Nexus just completed, and this is an absolute disaster right here. The distraction that Rogue is causing all over the map is working out very favorably for him. The multitasking here of Rogue is good enough. Oh, Zealots also get sent down the meat grinder. A lurker is indeed going to be able to get the final hit in on those Archons. Nexus also dies. Now indeed the Corruptors come out. And they are the real answer to the Skytol's transition that's been underway for a long time. High Templar don't really get a lot of work done. Archons are now gone, and that's going to give... Well, there's one more Archon underneath, but that's going to give these Corruptors free reign of the skies. Say goodbye to your Tempest. Say goodbye to your ground army. Say goodbye to your Nexus. And I think it's time for Trigger to say goodbye to this game. Beautifully played here by Rogue. It almost felt like it was slipping out of his hands, but not quite. GG. Are we allowed to expand? No. No, of course not. Protoss expanding in their own natural expansion whenever they want to? Disgusting. Apparently the Korean Zergs have decided that the best way to play is to either take your opponent's natural first and then your own, or to take your own natural first and then the opponent's. At the very least, I think that's the only reason why this drone is out here. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na. It's too late now. Yeah, Trigger can pull a probe. But of course, that building will already be coming up. Yet again, about 5-6 workers are pulled. In the previous game, he went for 5. Yeah. It's just barely enough in combination with a Zealot to actually secure the kill on the hatch. But this is just such an annoying build to go up against. It's funny, right? Because this is one of those strategies that is quote-unquote solved. We know how to deal with this, and yet it is one of those builds that will... Look at him, trying to get us around. He wants to prevent the Evo chamber from coming up. This is so cheeky. Yep, he is going to be able to deny it. No Evo chamber block on the back it is this time around. That's a nice little adjustment right there from Trigger. It's one of those builds that theoretically is not great for Zerg. But in practice, it is going to force Protoss to adjust. And the early game, again, it's so tight that any sort of forced adjustments, any sort of forced thinking, really, any way to reduce your opponent's muscle memory seems to already be worthwhile. And this is actually a build, so I haven't really heard a lot of people talk about this, but this is a build that technically has become a little bit easier to do since the hatchery has been reduced to 275 minerals. I mean, maybe we need to indeed be revisiting it. Recent patches in StarCraft 2 that, yeah, may have been specifically done to slow down the Zerg early game a little bit. Maybe they can actually be used to now also simultaneously slow down the opponent's early game a little bit. Whereas herO decided to go for a second gateway as a response. Double Zealot into 4 Adepts. We see a very different approach here from Trigger. Okay, he's gonna lose his Zealot. He's gonna lose his Adept as well, I think. Yeah, the Queens deal quite a bit of damage. Yeah, not quite. 2 workers, though, have been killed. Oracle number 1 already coming up, but you know what? Davey the Drone. I never gave you a name, because we never see Zerg players drone scout. But Davey the Drone is still going around. I don't know why that name popped in my head. We have Probius. We have Steve the SCV. Say hello to Davey, everybody. Be polite. Everybody that likes Davey always hits the like button. That's what I've been told anyways. All right. We're going to be destroying the Adepts that are still out on the map now that Zergling speed is done. And this is going to slow down Trigger a little bit, but he is going to try and sneak out of third base. Now, since indeed the Adepts got sniped, it means that the third base is undefended. That now forces the Oracle, the very first Oracle, to stay at home. I don't like Trigger right there activating Pulsar Beam. He activated, it's still active. Like he's not disabled the ability yet. Now he disables it, but my god, is that going to prevent this Oracle from dealing damage on the other side of the map? Maybe its damage won't be quite zero, but yet again, it is Rogue who's just securing himself in the early game, right? Like he is just sitting down in that driver's seat, forcing Protoss to be on the defensive rather than the offensive. And I guess that's really the big switch here. Maybe in theory, the cancelled hatcheries and these additional Zerglings and all that, maybe in theory it's not great if the opponent plays perfect. But it's so difficult to actually play a perfect game. It is now forcing Protoss to be defensive rather than offensive at this stage in the match. Roachwarren coming up, not yet a lair. Second gas as well, so we'll have to keep an eye out on what Trigger is going to be facing off against next. Twilight Council is done, we need to make a choice. Oh, we haven't yet made a choice. Don't fall apart now, Trigger. Oh, no. Okay, there we go. Blink yet again. +1 yet again. Eh. How uninspiring. I'm a little bit afraid that now this game is going to be headed in a similar direction as the previous one. I mean, to be fair, the previous one was close. But I feel like it was mostly close due to like mid to late game misplays from Rogue. Like you're giving up control right now here as Protoss. If Rogue can tighten things up a bit, this game can be extremely one-sided. Still though, Trigger has not allowed any Zerglings into the base this time around. 6 workers were killed as well by those Oracles, and then the Adepts from earlier, the Zealot that joined in, so it's not all bad. I don't think though, compared to like the herO game that we saw, or actually Tourmaline as well, I don't think it's going to be easy for Trigger to be able to snipe the 4th hatchery of the Zerg. Right? Like we saw herO move out across the map with Blink done on the Stalkers and then +1 as well done on those Stalkers. And he managed to snipe the opponent's 4th base. I don't know if that's going to be doable in a game like this. Rogue even taking, by the way, and this is... It almost feels a little bit cheeky to me. He's taking the forward expansion. Almost saying to his opponent, like, come and get it. If you want to kill the base, come and get it. It's been scouted though by Trigger. Yeah, who decides to indeed now play this passively. So this will be Blink Stalkers, but I don't think it's going to be nearly as in his face. He's even now expanding away from the Zerg, so that alone is already very different than what we normally see. Protoss usually likes being neighbors with the Zerg, just because they have slower moving armies. Creating distance between the armies and the bases and the expansions really only benefits the player with the faster moving units. And Zerg will always be winning that department. Storm is going to be done soon, though. And I guess Trigger's, game plan here is to just defend, and eventually arrive at Skytles yet again. We are miles away from that right now. But I guess that's the goal. Okay, so Rogue has been given free reign of the game. He can do whatever he pleases. Is it going to be a mid-game push? I think so. Interestingly enough, it's actually pure Roach Hydra. Yeah. A tried and true unit composition, sure, but it has fallen out of favor for like the last decade or so. Still good. But it's no Marine Marauder, you know? Like, Marine Marauder is really the strategy that we've been seeing for a long time. Trigger actually going for a bit of a move out. This almost feels like a bit of a fake to me. There's really no way he's going to be able to deal serious damage with this. There's no way that he believes he can deal serious damage with this. He's only got 1 immortal. You gotta be real careful you don't accidentally lose the game here, Trigger. Scans are, or storms rather, are juicy. But look at Rogue here. He's like, yo, you want to fight? Let's fight. You wanted to fight me? That's the last storm, I think. There may be one more. Yeah, one more. That's the last storm. No more energy available. And suddenly... I'm a little worried for that Prism, man. Corrosive Bowels, Hydra's getting within range. Suddenly, this Protoss army is just gonna get dumpstered on. This is just a numbers game. Yeah. All the High Templar are gone. Immortal may be able to find safe haven inside of that Prism, but I strongly disagree with this move out. I think it's a bit of a misread here, how the game has been going for Trigger. He probably thinks, okay, I've done, you know, a good bit of damage with my Oracles. In a normal match, I agree, that would be fine, but this game did not start off perfectly before that point. Cybercore in a little bit of trouble too, by the way. Cybercore is a requirement to be actually just building things like Stalkers, Sentries, Adepts. It's actually important to keep that unit alive, or to keep the structure alive, but Rogue right now is smelling blood. He's going in deep. He's already sniping probes now since they've been pulled to try and join into this engagement as well. The juggling on the Prism is real nice. It's really good. Yeah, he's keeping at least the most important units alive here. A couple more Immortals, though, that just spawned. Not quite living up to their names. And as the dust settles, I think ultimately Trigger will be able to defend. As the dust settles, we've had 21 probes die. Now the Lurker Den comes up for Rogue. Now the Hive begins as well. The timings may all be a little bit different. The one saving grace, though, here for Trigger is this base in the bottom. And I think Rogue has simply... yeah, he hasn't really decided to send anything over here. I would have loved to see, like, a small little move out to the 6 o'clock position right over here to get some real damage done. Now he's sending a secondary army over here. Now there's also a distraction, though, on the left. He decided to come back to finish the job, and now suddenly those probes here at the bottom are in trouble. I think you target the Nexus. Oh, if you kill the Nexus here, Trigger has been knocked back to the Stone Age. No recall available, sadly, here for those Roaches and Zerglings. Seems like the distraction squad on the left actually still proved to be a little bit annoying. That means only the Zerglings die and the Roaches actually survive. Next step in the master plan is for Lurker upgrades to come up. And I think Lurker upgrades will probably on the production tab at the same time as the Cybercore is being rebuilt. Not really what you need. Preferably as Trigger right now. Yep, there we go. Seismic Spines at the same time as a Cybercore. Preferably what you need right now here as Trigger is a Fleet Beacon and that transition to the Mothership and all the rest of it. Not something Trigger, though, can really afford. And right now, it kind of feels like we only have one final opportunity. One shot to seize everything you ever wanted, man. One moment. Do you capture it? Or is there vomit on your sweater already? Mom spaghetti. I think what's going to happen, spoiler alert, is Protoss moving into Lurkers. Yeah. And how are you... oh, wow. I don't think we need to be here, Rogue. Rogue, chill. Chill. Rogue, chill. There's zero reason to be here. Rogue... Rogue, why are we fighting off creep? There's no point in fighting off creep. He just lost a bunch of Lurkers. He decided to give up 6 of them. Zealots that were going in for the counterattack, trying their absolute best over here, but they also get surrounded. No worker kills for them. Trigger's gonna try and sneak out a new base. Spire here on the back of this for Rogue. This is just a safety spire. He's got so much money right now that he can do whatever he likes. But I think the real question is, will Trigger be able to even deal with this next incoming attack? You could try and force a base race, but base racing a Zerg? I don't know, man. They'll be faster than you. Their army is better than you. Or yours. Yeah, this Nexus is super dead. Look at Rogue already anticipating that he can actually fight. the opponent's army with, like, I don't know, maybe 75% of his own. I think he may be right. Okay. Yeah, very conservative endgame here for the Zerg. Not really taking any unnecessary risks. He saw how that went in the previous game. Chaos is nice. But it's not always a necessity. And now we're nearly 15 minutes into the game, right? That means that the natural domain and even the third base are going to be running low. He knows that this Protoss player is desperate. So just parking the lurkers over here at this intersection, at this like a roundabout right over here, is a disaster for Protoss. Protoss needs a new base. He can't be dealing with all of these units. And while the individual unit control here from Trigger is nice, the dancing here with the units that he has is good. I think the Swarm is ultimately going to prevail. Scary good games here by Rogue. I have to say, yeah. It's nice to see the contrast as well, right? Compared to what we saw previously in that series between herO and SHIN. To now see these games between Rogue and Trigger. Well, maybe we should see herO going up against Rogue instead. Maybe that would be the more interesting game. Yeah, so Trigger is still playing, and I can't blame him, right? Like, he knows how important a match like this is. But even if he cleans up this type of army 17 times, he's still going to lose. Like, there's just way more income for Zerg. And that's the cold hard truth. This game was lost like 5 minutes ago. And while you can still stay alive, sometimes it just kind of feels like you have a very slow death animation. As Rogue gets indeed the win in the second game as well. And that means that we have now seen herO win 2-0. And then Rogue also get the job done with the exact same map score. GG.